everybody, so I'm Nick, this is Fred. Over the past 2 years of our lives, we've been living a life of a test. That test being, can you take people from non-software-based backgrounds and turn into software testers? Spoiler alert, yes you can. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to give our experience as to why we believe this statement and how this has happened to us. First off, let's go 3 years back to before either of us knew anything about software testing. That's us 2 years ago. I'm that one, by the way. Carrying on my face. In that photo, I was living my childhood dream of getting a master's degree. And it was 16 years of education. Genuinely was my dream. Yeah, from age of 11, people would talk about how they wanted to be footballers, scientists, doctors. I was just like, I just want a master's degree. Mainly my mum, who was a mathematician. It's all her fault. In that 16 years of education, I'd never got any work experience, so coming out of uni, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. What I did know from my degree was that I was quite good at analysing things, so I just googled analyst jobs, applied to a lot of them, got a lot of interviews, got rejected for pretty much all of them. Finally, the company was foolish enough to take me on, graduate software test analyst, and that's how my journey began. What about you, Fred?
Funnily enough, as we discovered preparing this talk, I happened upon this job in much the same way as Nick, by just googling job titles that have the word analyst in it. Only difference being, at uni I analyzed books and paintings mostly. So all of a sudden I got accepted to this graduate scheme. Growing up, my main interest in computers and anything related to that, like computer programs, was mainly games. Surprise, surprise. So when it came time to choose an education, I opted for arts, essentially. An education that's notorious for not getting you a job when you finish. Nevertheless, I spent years of my life studying big philosophical questions like what is art, to like weird little detailed ornaments on the columns of ancient Greek temples, and stuff like the social and cultural context of modernist art. So this was my university days. So, some of you may wonder what I'm doing in the testing profession at all right now. To tell you the truth, I've asked myself that very question numerous times. But still, 2 years on, I'm still here, and I actually love my job. Many reasons for that. I think the two main ones are that I still get to learn new things on a regular basis, and I still get to apply the abilities I kind of brought with me from university. So, the graduate scheme meant that me and Nick here and a few others got to go on a 6-week intensive training course at something called the Test Academy, represented here today. And that was a very exciting time and a terrifying time, well, at the same time. For me, it was a major break out of my comfort zone from what I was kind of accustomed to. Coming from the background that I did, I was expecting more or less a lengthy lecture on the theoretical background of testing and so on. Instead, we were pretty much thrown into the pool at the deep end and put to work. Terrifying, especially when you don't really understand what it is you're doing yet. So it felt honestly quite uncomfortable at first, but what it did was it forced us to get into a habit very early on, I think, to ask questions, to clarify things. Which to me was one of the biggest, most important lessons or takeaways from the academy. Because as we all know, you have to clarify assumptions and so on. So all in all, that's one level of it. The second level was that we got to discover that who you ask depends on or rather, asking the same question to different people will give you very different answers. Sometimes no answers at all. Very nicely facilitated by people at the Academy who kind of role play different stakeholder roles. I think getting that experience in sort of safe space was really, really useful for what we're doing now.
Yeah, yeah. I like the positives of that as well. One of the positives I liked of the Academy, we got 3-course meals in the day, we got snacks in the morning, snacks in the afternoon. Being a student, I didn't learn to cook, so that was absolutely phenomenal. And it was quite a lot. I'd like to meet people from different backgrounds, like freshman arts background. I'd only ever even got people who did maths. And then also, I was now being trained by software testers, which, after a life of being in education, I was very much used to these kind of people. So this graph in blue, it's got how much you know, knowledge, and in green brackets, how much you can explain. So I was very much used to the kind of questions I asked. I was also always asking teachers who were this column, they knew everything, and they could explain it to me. If they couldn't, then they wouldn't have their job. And then I was just always used to going to one person, getting the answers, learning it all myself. And now I was suddenly being trained by software testers that didn't really have those skills, and I started seeing more people in these kind of columns. People who maybe knew everything, but could barely explain it. People who knew less, but could explain it more. And some people that knew about 60%, but could explain everything. And early on in the Academy, I got quite frustrated because I was very much used to just going to the person who knew the most and expecting them to be able to answer everything. That wasn't the case anymore. Early weeks, I was going to the people who knew the most. And it was basically speaking a different language to me. Like, I'd know what to say the word in French is for hello, bonjour, and I'd ask them, alright, so can you teach me more French? And then they'd expect me to be able to write an essay in French straight away, and I was like, what, how do I do that? And they just couldn't transition, they couldn't explain that to me. What I did find, found a lot more value in these kind of people. And quite often, these people are people who are saying, I don't know something, but actually asking questions, actually talking to people. And I found that I could ask 10 questions to that person on the right and only learn one thing from them. If I asked 5 questions to that person, I could get them all answered in a way I understood. I could ask the other 5 to this person and get them all understood. And if they both knew enough to get me to learn everything, I could just go speak to them. And actually I could know everything, but that happens to go to someone who knows it all. It also taught me as well that I can learn stuff to pass exams, which I've been doing the past 16 years of my life. But it's no good if I can't explain it to Fred or other people on my team, because it's just going to be completely useless. If there's one person who knows something, there's no value in that. But if I can get an idea, get Fred behind it, get my team behind it, I can get that idea out there and start pushing forward with it. So that was the biggest takeaway I got from the Academy. Luckily, me and Fred were able to absorb enough information from the wonderful teachers, Thomas, and we passed the Academy and we got to graduate. Here's a picture of this. It's got to admit, it's an artistic rendition. That's not actually me and Fred. You don't see the photos from the night. But then, obviously, we were going straight into the office after, weren't we, Fred? That was a bit of a come down.
Yeah, there wasn't enough time to get settled. So the kind of euphoria and the confidence, I guess, we brought with us from passing the Academy at all very quickly faded once we actually set foot in the office. We brought with us like whole new sets of new skills. Very useful, no doubt, but all of a sudden you're in the real world with real people and real work and real life consequences. And it just became a whole different thing all of a sudden. From my uni days, I was mostly used to work in a way that felt a little bit like this. So that's me on my own little planet. Doing my master dissertation, I spent the majority of the time alone. Like reading, writing, thinking, deciding things by myself. Just rarely seeing my professor for feedback. So that's kind of a habit I got into through university. So I think I kind of brought with me an expectation towards myself that I needed to know everything and do everything myself. In contrast, coming into the office and working in a team felt a little bit more like this. Basically, all of a sudden, my kind of lonely planet felt like it had been invaded by aliens. Yes. And these aliens were speaking strange alien languages to me. I assume everyone here basically works in IT, and you're well aware that we use terms and a lot of abbreviations who nobody else has the vaguest idea what means, right? So, like I said, that confidence in the new skills we'd gained quickly faded once confronted with this. And, you know, in truth, that kind of made our co-workers kind of appear a little bit like scary aliens at first. Fortunately, we were very lucky to get to work with some extremely talented people who kind of made an effort to take us under their wings and not only make themselves available to us when we wanted to see them, but they actively sought us out, pulled us away, and taught us things, explained things to us. And that was a really, really good experience, again, that kind of allowed us to get our footing back and regain some of that confidence. And I think, other than the fact that that was good for us in the sense that we could get answers to our questions, like even have someone explaining system architecture to us or anything, I think something that was as important almost was that from the very beginning we were kind of taught by example a behavior of kind of just looking out for each other. Like, look around and see if somebody in your team or in your office needs help and provide that help if you're able to. And that was like my next big thing, witnessing that behavior. So what about you, Nick?
Yeah, I saw something quite similar. That's my knowledge bubble. I'm now suddenly thrown into the developer, project manager, and they have their own knowledge bubble. But all I've done the past 6 weeks was expand mine. And I have no idea what they knew. And now I had to suddenly find a crossover. What's relevant about my testing to them? What's relevant to the developer, project manager? What do they care about? And I ideally find that middle ground there, or all speaking the same language. I didn't do that though, because I had 1 week of work experience in my life. And I was working with developers that had 10 years plus, project managers that also had similar time. And there was no way in hell that I was going to write a test and call the developer who's worked 10 years and say, hey, I think you're wrong. So I just kind of went into my own shell, started working on my own testing rule, but then they finally came, my test failed, and I was fairly certain it wasn't me. And now I need to reach out and tell the developer, oh, test failed. But you can't just say, oh, test failed, because they'd be like, right, why? Maybe have you just written your test wrong? Set the property wrong? And quite often it was that I had done something wrong on my side. So I really needed to find out, what does the developer care about my test? If I say a test failed, I need to be able to explain to him, is it your code? Is it actually the requirements that the project manager's given us? Or is it something in the middle where we've all misunderstood each other? Luckily, with people coming and going out their way and teaching us, like Ash, Bender over there, they started to tell us what they care about. And I started to suddenly figure out, where does my knowledge overlap with them? What does it overlap with the project manager? And about 6 weeks into the office, I felt like in my team I was in that kind of state in the middle where people cared if I said my test failed, because I was there from the start, I was questioning requirements, I was speaking to the developer when they were writing code, so if I said my test failed, they'd know it was something relevant to what they did. So I was really happy when I got to that stage, it felt really good. But then, I was left alone. Ash was on my team, he went away, Vidas, who's just come in with my co-tester, he left, and I was a lone tester on my team. I was feeling really happy because I was in the state. And a project manager one day comes and says to me, we want this really specific type of testing done, can you do it? And I was like, yeah, I'm testing things, I'm proper good, I'll pick that up. Within a couple of hours of looking at what they wanted to do, I realised I wasn't proper good. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do? I need to tell the project manager, I can't do this, I need to do my project work. But why will they not just fire me? If I say, yeah, I'm the tester, I can't test that thing, and then I'll just be like, well, get off the team, mate. So I started thinking, right, what would a real human do in this situation? What would someone like Ash do, someone with more experience? And I thought project manager. And then I thought, they'll tell the project manager, I can't do it, I'll focus on what I can do. If it needs to be done, we'll reprioritise it. So I typed that mail out and I looked at it. I thought, that's what someone should say. But I've already been here a couple of weeks, so I clicked enter, locked my computer, went for a very long lunch, hoping my project manager didn't see it or would reply. Came back, I looked at my computer, no reply. Brilliant. Open up SketchUp over there. I can see that she's typing the message. Time absolutely froze for me then. My brain was just internally swearing, just saying fuck, fuck, fuck over. This is where I get told that I'm on my job. Start opening up my CV, updating it. I'm doing like, in no way am I keeping this job anymore. She replies saying, okay, that's cool. It's not priority. Carry on with what you're doing, you can do. I'll pick it up later. And I was like, what? So I'm looking for hidden cameras, see if I'm going to be like, oh, we pranked you. Like, you actually fired, get the fuck out now. No, they go, oh, okay. And it made me realise that there's something more important than just having the knowledge, and that's being self-aware. So, actually, we can go to the next slide. It's about admitting that you're not perfect, that you have strengths and weaknesses. So in this graph, I'm comparing me and Fred. I'm better at English and Fred's better at to be a Norwegian, but we're both pretty gangster, so equal on that front, as you can tell from seeing us. And I started realising in my team, it's just better to be honest. Say what I do know, say what I don't know. But when I say that I'm not good at something, ask the people who know, find out who is good at something. If my project manager wants me to test something in Norwegian, there's no point in me struggling with it for a week. If I know that Fred's good at it, I can go and ask him. But similarly, if I can see Fred struggling with something that's maths-based, then I can extend my help. So like performance testing, Fred needs to pick it up. I understand graphs, so I can go over to him and say, look, this is how it should be done. And it can reinforce that behaviour in me really, that if I can see people that are good at things, admit that I don't know it and go ask them for help. And again, if I can see people struggling and I know I can help, go after it. Or if I can see people struggling, maybe I can't do it, but I know someone else who can do it, try and get them to link up. And yeah, that's been the biggest takeaway, that when I felt that I became self-aware, that I actually did have the testing mindset skill, but that was one of my strengths. It didn't matter that my weaknesses were in domain knowledge, technical knowledge. If I'm honest with people, that stuff will come. I can ask the developer for help, they'll teach us technical stuff. I can ask the business analyst for help, they'll give me the domain knowledge on the product. And after I started doing that, I actually felt like I was becoming a real software tester. What about you, Fred?
Yeah. I think I'd like to end on the fact that, so we've done testing for 2 years now. We're a lot more comfortable, I dare say, than we were in the scary beginning. But that's not to say that it isn't still challenging. And it's challenging for somebody with an IT education who's been doing this job for 10 years. For me, I've got my 2 years, so technical knowledge, for example, coding, massive challenges for me. Obvious remedy is to just do training. I think another one that I'm still struggling with comes down to confidence, having to do with the fact that I'm still relatively inexperienced compared to the developer I'm working with now. He's done coding for 30 years, like whatever I have to contribute to his opinions on anything. So that's something I still have to be like mindful of, like Nick said, being self-aware of your limitations and your weaknesses, and actually manning up to seek that help when you need it. And I wanted to leave you guys this morning with the point that the remedy that I found for myself is doing exactly what we're doing today. Getting involved in conferences, getting involved in communities, getting involved in steering groups and dojos, and just hanging out with peers and exchanging that knowledge, and finding that even a tester that's been doing a job for 15 years still feels like he or she doesn't know what they're doing half the time, which is a great comfort, really. So, really just looking at you, Ash. So that's what I'd like to leave you guys with this morning. Just peace, love, and unity, basically.
So back to the question, can you take people? We feel that, yeah, you can. You get people that do have the right mindset, you can train that up. Stuff like domain knowledge, technical knowledge will come later if they can just admit that they don't know it and actually see how that helps. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for listening.
Yeah,